us today for the NeedyMeds brief Health Websites, Which to Trust and Why. My name is Carla. I am the Education Coordinator at NeedyMeds. And before we get started on evaluating websites, I want to make sure everyone knows a bit about NeedyMeds. Here's a screenshot of the NeedyMeds current homepage. And our website is really the face of our organization. NeedyMeds is a national nonprofit founded 20 years ago by our current president, Dr. Rich Sagal. And as you can tell from our mission statement, which is that we are dedicated to educating and empowering those seeking affordable health care, education is an important part of the work we do. And we define education in two ways: educating people about NeedyMeds and the resources we have to offer, and educating people on important healthcare topics, which is what brings us to our webinar today. According to the International Telecommunication Union, which is a United Nations specialized agency for information and communication technologies, 40% of the global population uses the internet and over 88% of the US population. The number of internet users has increased tenfold from 1999 to 2013. As healthcare costs rise, the number of people turning to the internet for healthcare answers is rising as well. We see that in our own data at NeedyMeds, where we now get an average of 12,000 users to our website each weekday. The problem is not finding information on a particular topic. The problem is whether the information you find can be trusted. Today, I'm going to walk you through website evaluation tips to help you determine which websites to trust and why. To begin, we are not reinventing the wheel. Back in 2010, this test was created by the Marion Library at California State University and offers guidelines on how to evaluate websites. NeedyMeds experts implemented the tools from the Marion Library to come up with the top 6 evaluation points: timeliness, relevancy, who's who, accuracy, and testing the depths. We thought the best way to give examples of evaluating websites would be to turn to the live internet, so bear with me while I make that transition. Let's get started with the first evaluation tool, timeliness. We define timeliness as how current the information is. When was the information published or posted? Has the information been revised or updated? Imagine what you would think if you were on a website for heart surgery, for example, that cited research from the 80s. Would you trust that the research holds up after all these years? Look for both publication dates and revision dates to determine if the website is maintaining its currency. The example I'm going to use for timeliness is the website on your screen now, hosted by Health Communities. Now, at a quick glance, certainly this website seems to offer pretty robust information, so let's take a peek a little bit further and see what they offer. Let's start by choosing health topics in the navigation bar in the top. And then let's narrow it down even further by choosing cancer. Now, since cancer is, of course, another broad category, let's narrow it down yet again by choosing bone cancer. Now, you can see clearly that this web page offers an overview of bone cancer. It differentiates between different types of bone cancer, and it even provides some information on the incidence or prevalence of bone cancer. Now, like I am doing right now, you're going to want to scroll to the bottom oftentimes to find a date. Although in this situation, the source that reviewed the site is listed, who happens to be a doctor, that's great, but the published date of more than a decade ago and the modified date of more than 2 years ago should give you pause. Statistics and treatment options when dealing with various cancers change. Of course, I don't know whether there have been new medication or treatment options in the last 2 to 3 years for bone cancer, but if there were, I clearly would not get those updated facts here. So let's move on to the next evaluation tip, relevancy. We define relevancy as the importance of the information for your particular needs. Does the information relate to your topic or answer your questions? To demonstrate relevancy, we're turning to the Center for Young Women's Health website. I'm going to check on the Ask Us box or hyperlink. And as you can see, that brings up an option for another hyperlink, Browse Our Past Questions. Now, when I pull that page up, you can clearly see by what I'm highlighting now that the questions and answers are clearly up to date. You can also see that the questions are clearly also addressing issues that would be important to young women, ranging from questions about PCOS, contraception, body image, and even depression. The questions seem to be both relevant to the topic of women's health and relevant to the targeted age, which is young women. I'm just going to click on the question about PCOS so you can see for yourself whether this question and its answer provides the information you're looking for. So again, when I choose that option, it looks to me that this question provides a quality and thorough response, but also a relevant one, which is what we're focused on now. Moving on, when I mentioned who's who, the next evaluation tip, I was referring to authority. Who or what is the source of the information? Who is the author, the publisher, the source, or the sponsor? Now, everyone approaches the world with particular biases, and it's important to recognize that occasionally these viewpoints are not necessarily rooted in observable fact. We all know that. But when it comes to website content, always look for names to which information can be attributed, including parent and affiliate organizations, leadership, sponsors, advisors, editorial boards, and of course, writers. Approach it from the angle of the expert. Would you be more willing to accept an article's claims if they were written by a layperson or a trained medical authority? As you can see, I've turned to an article published on the website from Medical News Today. This article is about spider venom peptides' possibility of preventing stroke-induced brain damage. Now, to me, that sounds like a pretty specific topic that would require an expert or expert research. So we recommend checking out who the article was actually written by. And in this case, we can find that information right at the top of the article. Sometimes you'd have to scroll to the bottom to see who the article was written by. Since there's a hyperlink, I'll go ahead and click it. And as you can see, a quick synopsis about the author is provided right here. Now, we certainly are not going to impugn the expertise of the author, but she self-describes as having interests in this topic and is a staff writer for this website. When you are presented with a situation like this, be sure to comb the article for sources to make sure that even if the person writing the article is not professionally qualified to cover the topic, that they are at least using reputable and identifiable sources. It doesn't necessarily mean the research is wrong, but if you don't see the research, and that is combined with the writer not being an authority, it may not be the most trusted resource. And this brings us to the next evaluation tool, accuracy. When we talk about accuracy, we are referring to the ability to verify the research that is cited. Suppose the website you're checking out makes a variety of claims, but doesn't provide research or evidence to support those claims. Would you trust that website more so than an organization that includes direct links, for example, to outside sources? Make sure you both look for and judge the research, or sometimes lack thereof, being used by a website. Now, a website that offers a good example of accuracy is the website I've got up right now, which is hosted by the PCOS Awareness Association. I'm choosing the PCOS option in the navigation bar, and then I'm scrolling to symptoms. Now, on the left-hand side, in addition to the description about what polycystic ovarian syndrome is, you can see a bunch of hyperlinks. What strikes me right away is that if I scroll to that bottom of the page, there is a hyperlink dedicated specifically to references. And when we click on it, we can plainly see that the sources that were used for the information provided on this site. Now, that's a good sign. Moving on, let's talk about what we mean by testing the depth. Some websites cover the breadth of a particular subject, including numerous topics and subtopics for users to explore. But how useful is the breadth of a site's material if, let's say, the individual articles are too shallow to gain anything substantive? That's what we mean when we refer to testing the depths. I'm turning to a specific section of the Center for Disease Control, or CDC, website as an example. Let's check out the Healthy Living section on the left-hand side of the page. Now, at first glance, to me, it doesn't seem that there is much depth to this section, considering that there are only 3 links under Healthy Living, 2 of which appear to be not the most important topics I would think of when I think about tips for healthy living, such as Super Bowl party and summer tips. But let's test the depths and click on one of the links. We'll choose Super Bowl party. Before I go further, I want to stress that just by looking at a site, you don't necessarily want to leap to the assumption that because a page lacks text, that there isn't valuable content and depth. As a matter of fact, government websites often provide accurate and pertinent information, but their text may be sparse. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case with this particular section of the CDC's website. Now, even by reading the first line of the very first paragraph, we can see that they don't include any source or evidence within this article to back up that claim. And as you'll scroll down, you'll notice there's a lot of the same throughout the article. Now, while the CDC may be a very credible source, not every portion of their website will necessarily have a great deal of depth. Truth be told, that is an accurate assessment for many websites. Now, if you'll bear with me, I'm going to escape out of the internet and return to our PowerPoint presentation so I can review the 6 top evaluation tips. Again, we began with timeliness, which we refer to, the currency of the information. How up to date is the article or the text on that website, or at least on that particular page? Relevancy refers to the importance of the information specifically for your needs. Who's who? When we talk about who's who, we're talking about the authority. Who is the writer of that page? Who is the author of that article? Who's who refers to the source of the information. Accuracy refers to the reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of the content. And finally, testing the depths. Is the information sufficiently explored? Now, I'm happy to let you know that, as you can hopefully also agree with me, finding information about healthcare on the internet, making sure it is up to date and accurate, can sometimes be a challenge. Well, fortunately, we've taken some of that work away for you. A part of NeedyMeds' goal is to try and keep information easily accessible. And to make finding trustworthy health websites easy, one of the resources we recommend is Health Web Navigator, a project of NeedyMeds. Health Web Navigator is a website which takes away the work for users and provides already evaluated healthcare websites. Here is a shot of the homepage for this new website. I'm going to take a moment to answer just a couple of frequently asked questions about Health Web Navigator. A common question is, what is Health Web Navigator's review process? As I just said, we provide already evaluated websites, but how do we get those already evaluated websites? Well, the Health Web Navigator team is constantly searching the internet for the latest health and medical websites. Then they send the websites to a volunteer pool of reviewers that evaluate sites for both usability and credibility. The volunteers must complete a short but informative web criticism training module. If you are interested in being a volunteer reviewer, please let us know. Also, we often get asked, are there websites that are not evaluated by Health Web Navigator? And the answer is yes. Health Web Navigator does not rank physician or hospital websites, and they don't provide reviews on holistic or alternative websites. Well, that wraps up the NeedyMeds webinar, Health Websites, Which to Trust and Why. We do hope you check out the Health Web Navigator website and let us know what you think, and that you stay in touch with NeedyMeds. Thanks again, and here's wishing happy and healthy days ahead.